All right, we ready? All right, well, let's call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. And next thing would be approved minutes from 8/19. I read through those this morning. I'm good, you good?
Yeah, good.
All right, first quarter financial review.
All right.
Through that, so I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Too. Alrighty. I think I briefed you all at the last one, enrollment's slightly down. We haven't done our official report to the state, so these are based upon the first 10 days. The numbers might change. So once that's done, I'll revise it for my second quarter forecast. But based upon my calculations, reduced state funding, about $661,000 there. And sales tax looks strong in the first quarter, so I programmed another $100,000 projected for the year on sales tax to offset a little bit of those losses there. So we'll see if that holds true. So really, that's the biggest change, is the state funds, mainly due to decreased enrollment.
Okay.
That was,
I mean, it's still not.
we're expecting the enrollment to be down about 60 to 70 kids based upon what we saw in the first 10 days. Hopefully it gets a little bit better when we do our report, so.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to know too, where did those 60 to 70, what grades were those in? So were those a smaller incoming kindergarten class, or was it?
I'll bring some data on that. Actually, I'm gonna be doing projections for next year on the enrollment, so I've got all the spreadsheets and stuff, so I'll be giving more data when I brief the whole board on that as far as what are we projection next year, but what happened in the fall this year. But I can bring that to Thursday night also.
Okay, and do we still collect exit data on kids that don't come back if they withdraw, or, so we're not collecting any kind of exit?
Never.
It was a small,
We've never?
I think so.
I thought we used to get exit information if they were transferring to a different school.
Oh, we have that. I don't know if we have it all in one place. We put it in their CUME folder, their
Okay,
Power School.
okay.
How would you pull that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just interested to know, I mean, did they go to a private school? Did they go to homeschool? Did they just move out of territory?
I think we found that some of the projections were off.
Okay.
I think is what we found from last year. Mark's projections were a little bit.
I'm looking at the projections, especially the kindergarten,
I
and I
think.
did a 5-year back, well, I didn't go back to COVID, but I went like the last 3 or 4 years. And what Weldon's Coopers at the state level is using based upon birth rates to project for our kindergarten, they've been 5 to 6% short every year. So next year, I'm gonna factor that in, because I think they were over projecting kindergarten. But kindergarten was, one of our smaller classes ever.
Okay, that makes sense.
Definitely this year. And actually, in 2 of the surprising schools where it was smaller, was really, TJ and also Forest Elementary. They had some of their smaller kindergarten classes. So I'll bring more data on that. But it was in some other grade levels too. So overall, $342,000 projected under on revenue. Once again, it's the first quarter, hard to get good gauge on everything. The federal money is just money that probably, money that got carried over that did not come in by June 30th of last year. So some things that were delayed, not a lot there, but, so $342,000 under budget on revenue at this point. That is factoring in that if you look at projected supplementals, that is the all-in money. I actually put that as a separate, it's so big, I put that as a separate line this year. This is the last year for that money. There will be some other supplementals as we go forward. We were awarded some state security money, so I'll bring that in the second quarter. And when I get my supplementals ready for that.
Out of the 125 million budget, it's not terrible.
No. $342,000, even though it's under, I have no heartburn over that. When we get closer to the million, I get kind of a little bit more nervous.
Yeah.
But once you look at the expenditure, I think I don't have big concerns with bringing the budget in this year.
Yep.
It's gonna be tight, it's gonna be close, but, nothing really popping out that is like, oh my goodness, we missed something in the budget. You can see across the board, pretty tight on all the budget areas there. $424,000 under budget on expenditures. Once again, first quarter, there's a long way to go, get through the winter and electrical. Projecting inbounds about $81,000. So it's not something we go, yay, I can breathe easily, but it's at least we're looking at it that we're not in trouble.
I like it.
So.
I mean, to me, you've put your budget in place. I mean, it's equaling out with revenue versus expenses. I mean, and it's not like a huge number. I know it makes you nervous, but I like this,
Yeah.
so,
And once again, sometimes when you get through the year, yeah, there's some unfilled position vacancies right now.
Yeah.
That might not be built in, but we have people transition out and we have vacancies and coming and going throughout the year that impacts this. And once again, anything that has to do with staffing has the biggest impact on the budget.
Right.
So I will be analyzing, I usually don't start building the following year budget until I have the second forecast mid-year.
okay.
Then I look at, is there more participation in health and dental that I'm expecting, and I make some adjustments for the
Now, let
following
me make
year.
sure too, on a quarterly, that doesn't mean that those dollars are frozen in these categories, meaning the department heads. don't-
At this point, we don't have anything frozen right now. The
Okay.
budget's,
I just want to make sure. So when I look at technology and I see $150,000 less, I'm not going to say, well, why didn't we spend that money? Because they could still spend it.
they could
It's
still
not-
spend it. Yes,
Okay.
there's some uncertainty in all these categories,
Yep.
especially, I think the biggest one, transportation and maintenance usually have the biggest uncertainty.
Yep.
Because of, the consumables that they buy, things breaking, unexpectedly that are very expensive items. But, so yeah, they still have to manage these budgets, but from what I'm seeing on the run rates and projections, they look pretty good.
Okay.
The next few pages are more detailed on each of those major categories. I usually don't go over that, but that's there for you to look at if you want. Under and overs on different things. But we do it at a pretty high level.
Yeah.
So the 2 or 3 pages in, you've got the other funds, which I can go over if you're good with those.
And I'm assuming, Karen, that the classroom instruction are like open positions. Is that what that is?
That,
The
I
700?
haven't gone over that with her. A lot of that in that detail are open positions or unfilled positions.
Okay.
The special ed is a lot higher because we were, the 6B funding that we have from the federal level, we had been spending that down over the last few years. They had a lot of carryover. Now we're about a 3-month carryover, so we're not spending that down. I had to shift some money out of 6B over to local money on that, and I'll have to adjust for next year's budget on that. So that's why special education is a little bit higher than what we had budgeted. In the classroom, it's just, it's $54 million. There's so many things going on in there. Could be some vacancies, unfilled, 8 positions across the board.
Experience, because you're rotating new people in and old people out. that are-
And you typically do get a savings each year that I cannot anticipate because of turnover.
Right.
I just don't know how much and where.
Okay.
And that's gonna be the biggest one that's gonna realize that.
Okay, makes good sense.
Alrighty,
I mean, still, because the total budget for total instruction is, it is tight.
0.3%.
Yeah, you're running it.
So. But nothing really big. I mean, the special ed was the one I had to dig in a little bit more. And so if there's any surprises, that was one. But whenever we have, Kelly Jennings has to respond to the kids that come to us.
Right.
And there's times you gotta get an aid or you have to get some help in
Absolutely.
there and stuff, so. Anyway. All right. The other funds, you're gonna love the first one. One more,
No,
Mr. Drill.
Nutrition.
Nutrition.
I saw that. Actually made.
First quarter, we have a profit, so I hope that holds through the rest of the year. Now, if you look at there, I've got a receivable, so there's some numbers I'm guessing on there because we haven't actually filed with the federal government and delays in, the county posting some of the reconciliations for sales. But based upon last year and it's the best I can do, we're at a profit and hopefully that holds. So a lot of the changes that we've done, we're hopefully seeing fruition and we've stopped the decline in that balance going forward. So very, very
Nice
pleased
job.
with that.
that is a massive, massive turnaround.
That's
In
nice.
a fairly short period of time.
So
I think it was.
thank you to Suzanne Quisenberry and all the staff and
Great.
the nutrition staff that have stepped up and even volunteered and said, yeah, we can do with one less person, just, make sure we have a substitute when we need it. So I think the morale's good right now and so very pleased to report that. Textbook fund, we look fine there. We look, Dr. Whitford and I look at that on a 5-year basis to make sure we have future adoptions covered and we'll go through that in the next budget cycle. But even after the math adoption, 1.5 million sit in there for the next adoption, so.
History is next, is that right? And when is that, next year?
We don't know because they are still talking about standards and no one has actually started publishing a history book to match the standards, so it could be 2 more years. So, which would give us time to build some stuff up.
Ton of confusion with all of that, and so they can't nail any timelines down. It's driving superintendents crazy.
So that money will sit there until the adoption comes. The Treasurer for Bedford County is investing that money, so we get higher returns, and so it's just not sitting and getting 0.0001%. So we've seen an increase on interest earnings, and so that'll continue to earn until such time as
We continue to put money away each year, roughly.
Yes.
Yes.
We take the state money, which is about 900,000, and in our budget was 300,000. So you got about 1.2 million, going through there each year. And I think the 300,000 will be good for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Looking at what our spend is outside of the adoption with the adoption. So once again, I look at that during the budget cycle with Dr. Woodford to make sure we're properly reserved.
When there's a backup, like with history, what's after that? Like, do they start compounding on each other? Like in 2 years, could you get history and something else, or do they push another thing off?
It's possible. There's usually a 7-year rotation, so we did science and English at the same time. So we got those both in 1 year, and then we did a lot of our, some of our English kind of wrapped over into the year after that. Our math was delayed, so it actually kind of helps us. It helps us kind of accumulate between. It's hard when you adopt every year because it's got so expensive. So actually, we would just hold onto that money, and if we had to do a double adoption, we would be able to.
Okay.
And every year we have to update. Then you have those oddballs like foreign language. Sometimes you have to run through a rotation, or health, things like that. So we always need a little bit extra for those things.
Okay.
Maintenance reserve fund, you can see it's gonna go down quite a bit, but I'm reserving for basically, the 2 big projects next summer, the HVAC, for Liberty High School and Stanton River High School, and some roofing, and in addition to those HVAC. Those are estimates right now. We have an RFP, request for proposal out on the street. We've advertised for that. The facility committee will be going over that and probably bringing it, I think, to the board in, I'm not sure if it's gonna be November or December meeting for approval to award those contracts so they can start working on
What is
those.
the roofing repair?
It's not the entire roof for all of them, but probably the math science wings at both with the HVAC, and you got the, when you're redoing the HVAC, it's the ideal time to do that. The metal, not the metal roofs or anything like that, but
Okay.
probably some of the other,
Okay.
membrane roofs. And the controls, so, we don't know how this is we don't know what this is gonna come out. So that's why we've asked for RFPs for the HVAC companies to design it and bid it. And so we're looking for, it's probably gonna take 2 years to do the project.
Those RFPs are still out there?
Yes, sir. So we had to put those out there for a little bit longer because they gotta do the complete design on those, so. So that's why it's, we were anticipating, you're talking 10 million plus for those 2 projects, probably closer to 12 million. So that's why you're gonna see that balance go way down. But we've been building it up for that, so glad we have the money to do those. Self-insured health fund, you can see in the first quarter, still went down. There were some late bills that did not get into here, so it might be even a little bit worse than that, so. We'll watch it over the year. There might be some stop loss money coming back to me for large claims. But there's still pressure on that. You can hear about it in the news everywhere. I think we'll be going up on our premiums again next year. We are looking at different avenues. We have, Dr. Calvert and I met with our new consultants. We've asked for them to look at anything and everything. They're doing a deep dive on a lot of what we're doing, and hopefully they'll give us some feedback on some options on there. But I think
won't be
every
here.
company's
I won't
struggling
be
with it.
here to drive this, but I do encourage you guys to look at what employees are paying based off their salaries. So I think that's important. I mean, if you're making more, you should be paying a higher percentage than what someone who's making 50.
We did ask the consultants to give us feedback on that, so,
Okay.
we just asked them to look into what's happening in industry, what are people doing, what's out there. And so we'll bring that to the committee, and, so we asked them to take a look at that. that's the financial review, so it's pretty, I'd say across the board, looks pretty good. Health insurance is probably the one thing that still is a concern. That's just the forecast for this year, long range for the finance committee and budget and board. As you know, reversion's still coming, and the funding of the maintenance reserve after reversion ends.
And that's what I was
is
gonna
gonna
say, Mr. Daniels, you're gonna have to really push on that for that maintenance reserve, 27, 28, 28, 29.
27, 28 will be our last year,
Last year
28,
with it.
29, first year without. So a long-term plan to continue to fund our maintenance reserve is probably the most critical thing. I know there's other thing in the operating, you know, when we were working on the budget last year, where our salaries rate across the board locally is like we're way down there. So that takes money, and there's things like that that need to be done that can compete in the budget, but you gotta maintain your buildings too. So there's some things that just need to be addressed, and I know you're aware of that.
All right, nutrition feedback on combined kitchen.
Yes,
We love the idea, right?
actually, I talked to Susan Quisberry, and it's probably, she does like the idea. It's in a little bit different format than you might think.
Okay,
Instead of combining like two elementary schools, it makes more sense to have maybe a middle school supply an elementary school. We're talking about piloting this next year for one school, so we're determining where that's gonna be. I won't say that right now, but we could probably go down some staff members. You still need somebody to run the register. You'd have to have the capital investment in probably a truck and the transportation.
Right.
But long-term, less in staffing, it might make sense. So we'd like to pilot it at one school. It'll be for the smaller elementary schools and feeder pattern from the middle schools going there. So you're, you know.
Because we have the
Forest
capability,
middle,
we have the capability in the middle schools.
Yeah, the high schools doesn't make as much sense because their meals are different. Too different to kind of supply in that range and stuff, so. So yes, there may be opportunity to do that maybe at 3 different schools, but we'd like to pilot at one first. So
Makes
we're gonna
sense.
make plans on that for next year.
Okay, cool.
And
nice.
I'll brief the committee on which school that's gonna be at and what we project on the financial savings and how that'll work, and then we'll track it to make sure it actually produces.
Right.
So, if you're okay with that.
Yep. And
Yep.
again, I won't be here, but I'll recommend, let's not go sell equipment out of the test kitchen and test area before we prove it in to be,
You probably leave it there anyway.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen in the future.
Yeah.
I wouldn't clear it for a
Yeah.
room. It'd be too hard and expensive to clear a kitchen out and make a room for something. But we'll see how that
Okay.
produces.
Makes sense.
vendor analysis.
Any feedback from the two of you? The spreadsheet I sent out on that was with vendors and stuff. We did a line by line, and then you asked for the vendors on
Yeah,
that. So that's
I-
still at your disposal.
Yeah, I don't have any feedback on it. I need to go back and there was some big ticket items.
The biggest ticket are gonna be nutrition,
Yep,
fuel, electrical, and construction.
okay,
Those are your 4 biggest.
okay.
And when you do a math adoption, that's gonna get up there too. But your nutrition is buying food, you're gonna be in over $1 million. Construction's up there, electrical's up there.
The fuel, yeah.
But if you have any questions, look at that spreadsheet and let me know.
Direct purchase order savings.
You requested last time on how much we've saved so far. A lot of the big stuff is still being ordered. So far from the PPA, $33,000 saved in sales tax.
Okay, and that's for the 2 projects at the 2?
3 projects, Bedford Primary.
Okay, so it does include primary.
All 3.
Okay.
And it also included a little bit of savings, what we did out at Stewartsville. So I just put all that together because we put that in all our FPs. That's at our discretion to order big ticket items and save on the sales tax.
I was gonna ask that when we were talking about the HVACs and stuff.
Taylor Bell tracks that, he has a spreadsheet, he tracks all the sales tax savings for every purchase that we do.
I mean, 33,000 is 33,000.
It should-
It's a savings.
Should get up closer, I'm anticipating $200,000 to $300,000 by the end of the project.
Okay, good.
So, you got a lot of stuff to order here for the summer coming up at the 2 high schools, so.
Okay.
So good news on that, and we'll continue to update the committee on that. But we track every purchase and what we're saving. At the committee request, I will say that I'll try to bring Sheldon Cash to the next meeting in November or the December one to talk about We looked at outsourcing nutrition, we can see that we postponed doing that, we're doing better there. We were looking at, do we do that for custodial services? So I'll have him bring feedback from him talking to vendors, and we'll tell you about the pros and cons
Okay.
before we go anywhere else. Just like we did with nutrition, so we'll schedule that for the next meeting.
Okay.
Any other requests things, hopefully I brought everything back that you had requested, and
I mean,
this wasn't as long a meeting, but,
I really think we've got a couple more months, and we usually just do a November one, and we're working through budget for next year, but I think we really need to put our heads together and consider, we've got all these buckets where we need to put limited funds. How do we reduce the number of buckets? And, we have, the maintenance reserve fund soon is gonna be at 0. And how do we start building up to that? Well, we have to limit our expenses. And there, we have to really go through, we have feedback out there in the community right now, because we're looking at doing stuff in the forest zone. We'll hear from people on Thursday. Not easy decisions, tough decisions, but decisions that need to be made. And we gotta look at that through the entire division, because we're here to represent the whole school system for the whole county. And we have to make those decisions, because decisions we make or don't make are going to affect the future of this county and all of the students and all the families that depend on us. So I really think we gotta try to be proactive and say, what do we need to do? What other tough decisions do we need to make? And you hate to say sometimes you have to rip the Band-Aid off, but we gotta rip the Band-Aid off on some of these things to protect the future of what we're trying to do here. And yeah, I think about it a lot. You can ask my wife, I talk about it at home all the time. Like, we've got to come up with something.
Yeah, I would also encourage too, in the conversation, from you guys, what are the new things that you would really like to introduce? But we don't have the money to do that because we're just trying to fund what we're currently doing. I think that's important to bring to the table to say, here are the latest and greatest things that we would really like to implement or go do. I don't know if it's a new HR system, whatever that would drive efficiencies to bring to the table to introduce. So the team is then challenged to figure out how to pay for it and identify funds. And, like Chris said, ripping that Band-Aid, it's gonna be tough. But if we can relate to the community, here's what we get by doing that, it makes it a lot easier.
Easier.
So I would,
we've already started engaging on that, Dr. Woodford, in the principals meeting today. So we're gathering data, so that'll be coming to the committee and to the board about new things that we think, not that we want, but that we really need to make us effective. And so there's some challenges out there in our schools and stuff that they're gathering data on, so that'll be coming. I'll let them get their documents and everything ready for that, but there's some concerns out there, and it's things that we need. These are not wants. So Mr. Repair has been using that terminology and trying to, and he's gonna be engaging on, I'll let him speak to that, the county administrator and also board of supervisors. These are not needs. I mean, these are not just wants, these are needs, these are critical.
Yeah.
And so there are some new initiatives that I think we'll be bringing to the table, that require, influx of money.
So we started over the last week or two, he and I talking about wants and needs. And because I'm preparing to go back to the board of supervisors now. So spoke to Bob Davis. Is that his name?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Gosh, I always want to call him Bob James for some reason. Bob Davis, and to set up a lunch and we can go through and show needs, not wants. And I've had a conversation a couple weeks ago with Tammy Parker. Stephen Hill is trying to do a lunch with Bainsley, and I'm going to try to piggyback off of that. And so my goal is to get to all of them. We'll update the presentation that I gave to the first ones, just to see that it's still accurate with, where teacher pay is, where our expenditure is, all those different things. It was kind of the shocker for like Mr. Scott. So I just want to carry that conversation on, but we started on Monday. I'm gonna read the list.
That's fine.
We have to differentiate between needs and wants because that's the way they talk.
Right.
And nothing we have is a need. It's always a want. So, $400,000 for full cost of SROs, competitive salaries, Leanne will work on that. Long-term funding for maintenance projects, Karen is addressing a new area right now, and it's the behavior issues that we're dealing with, and we started talking about how it's mostly like K-5, what would you say, K-5 first grade?
Pre-K,
Pre-K?
kindergarten first.
Where the behavior is just like off the wall. I mean, you're probably gonna hear it on Thursday night. And, because there's a lot of kids acting out in that age bracket, but then if you go back 4 or 5 years from now, from before this, you know where we were COVID, coming out of COVID, it was just a different child. So, looking at how can we do some behavior modification, what that would look like, because that would be something that would maybe be central to one zone, and we'd send kids in for behavior modification and send them back. And also funding for school consolidation. It's a better word to use, but, so those are the things that we're having discussions with. So I went to, Robert Hiss's presentation to the chamber board this morning, and I'm sitting here looking at our budget, originally projected 123, now 125, but yet this is what they're advertising to the public that they assist with. So, about 5 million off.
That's debt service.
I know, I know, but he's projecting that they're paying, I'm gonna have conversations with him about what are you actually paying? And when you put that into the mix of what we need over the next 5 years and where you need to come through. So those are conversations that need to be had, but I'm also just gonna start with having those with individual members, probably in the next couple weeks. So this kind of conversation will continue to go, because I'm sure there's more needs that are gonna come by every time we meet. So it's along the same line you just asked.
Okay.
And along those lines, I mean, just talking on that, where I separated that all-in money, that money goes away next year. So we've been using money from that all-in money for the last 3 years where the governor and General Assembly said we need to catch up on learning loss. So that was an influx of a lot of money, and then it disappears. So
Is that
Is
the
the
money
learning
that
loss all
we
done?
used to fund to keep from the classroom sizes increasing
Some
this
of it,
year?
yes.
Some of it, yeah. We,
Added
talked
a bunch.
Mr.
about
Daniels and I have had that conversation, I mean, so we're already negative.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, based on, because you changed the staffing standards, there was a reduction in this year's budget that filled the hole. But the
1 year only.
the principals in the schools haven't seen that implemented. They'll see it next year.
They'll see it next year, right, but my point, when they start talking budget, they're already in the hole.
We've had ESSER money, COVID money, All in Virginia money. They haven't seen anything like this in years.
So, for those positions, the other positions we've been using for 3 years that were built into that grant, those positions, if we want to keep into those long-term, will have to be built in or they go away.
Yep, and I think that's important to get that number, and if you already have it, socialize it with us so we can start talking
Will do.
in addition to, I think it was 1.8 that we had to fund out of that to keep the current standards. So what is that additional dollar amount that we need to add to the 1.8 so we can start having that conversation? Because things like what we're talking about for Thursday night, the community needs to understand the numbers that we're facing and how that's impactful, and by not doing anything, how it doesn't
Well, you're looking
help.
forward and saying, what does the future hold, and do we look at the challenges we have, which is our operating budget.
Correct.
Is there money to go ahead and do expansion at schools? There's no, the construction money is not there.
Correct.
And the maintenance reserve or
Yep.
even, you could borrow, but that's
Especially-
borrow money, so.
Especially
It
if
takes more money away.
especially if adding on to a school helps alleviate maintenance and other things, like long-term savings would be there if we could spend, but we don't even have the money to do it, so we can't save the money long-term. So,
All right, schedule next meeting. November, you guys are out the week of Thanksgiving?
Just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay. Are you,
the 24th,
24th is a Monday, 25th is that Tuesday.
I'm, according to my schedule on here.
You guys good with that Tuesday?
Tuesday.
I have CPO at 3:00.
Tuesday the 25th?
Yeah.
I can always move it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just thinking of the agenda. I'll give you guys the agenda if, I know I'm bringing Sheldon back, but
Okay.
I don't know if I have anything else right now except some of the budget items,
Okay.
but that might be premature, but
So possibly push it into like the first or second week of December?
we could, but then you're really prepping for budget.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot more data. If we meet on the 25th, then maybe we don't meet in December, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. All right,
My goal is to have it, and this is the Robert Hiss, we're having this conversation again, is bringing the finance committees together in November.
okay.
So that's,
November or early December, so it depends on what the two can agree on.
so if we meet on the 25th, then early December would work.
Yeah.
Maybe for that.
joint meetings.
So you guys sit here and talk about
Yep.
what are we gonna deliver?
Yep.
Is that right?
Well, what I'm gonna try to deliver leading up to that individually is the difference between what they think and what they don't know, and that is where our needs truly are. So we need to continue to have this discussion so that we can take real numbers and data over there.
It's what our needs are, our immediate needs, and also
And future.
what our 3 to 5 year needs are.
So I'll bring back enrollment numbers and things you asked about that. I'll bring back.
And the reason I showed you.
And I'm sorry, it's not just us communicating with the Board of Supervisors and the admin over there. It's the public that needs to understand, here's what we need, and here's the amount of dollars that it takes to fund that. These are the choices. These are the options that we're gonna have to make decisions on. And then they're gonna have to start talking with Board of Supervisors to encourage them of what the needs are versus what the outcome's gonna be. So,
And we tried that last year, we put that out, and we also said, these are the options that are out there, not options we may be willing to take, and everyone was like, you're gonna shut down Susie G? It's like, that's not what we
3
said.
o'clock in the afternoon,
CPO's in here.
Huh?
CPO is in here at 3 o'clock.
you meeting,
can you do 9 o'clock that morning? Or do y'all have,
is anything
We can do
scheduled?
9 o'clock.
can you do 9?
On Tuesday?
Yeah.
Is that the 25th?
And we can do it right before, if you wanna do 1:30,
That's fine.
right before.
Randy, you
yeah.
have
Well, you,
a,
that's Alliant, can you do that and I can do that? I can do this one? Okay. Well,
I mean, I don't have to be here, but if we're recording, it has to be in this room.
we got a 10 o'clock with our consultants.
Okay.
Can we start like at 8:30, sooner than 9?
I can't do not, I can't
Yeah,
do
you
that,
can't
I
do
have,
early.
I have
Too early?
standing meetings.
what about like 11?
Is
11
my-
o'clock? Is that too late?
I mean, no,
What?
you have standing meetings until what time?
They'll go to like 11 or so.
Can we do Monday at 3? Does that work for you guys?
IGA,
Okay.
On November 24th? I like to have that on my
that's
list.
what I have, 3 o'clock.
You wanna look at December 2nd then? Is that getting too?
That's fine. December 2nd is fine with
Is
me.
that not right?
Yeah, I have IGA. 23rd at 3 o'clock.
24th?
December 2nd at 3?
Yeah, let me check the room.
Okay.
Because you guys like to stream this one, I think, so.
But,
November 23rd,
that's a Sunday.
IGA, 3 o'clock.
I think that's a Sunday.
I'm in next year.
Leanne, you all right over there?
Can you see,
That kind of
No,
week.
Karen,
I'm not. I'm
can you see if
really
this
not.
room's
I'm-
available?
That kind of week.
Yes, what day?
the 2nd. We're gonna move it to the next Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, December 2nd.
I had an IGA.
And if we were gonna meet with the finance committee of the board of supervisors, I need to know when in early December that's gonna be.
I'll talk to Mr. Dupere maybe for the week after the 2nd,
Like around the 9th?
yeah, before we kind of break, yeah, right around
Yeah.
there, so,
Yeah, I could do that. The week after that, it would have to be,
would that work? Is that too late?
Yeah, let's just sit down and
Are we
figure out
saying
what
the
dates we
second?
can
What are we
offer
saying?
them, to make sure that they have a couple to choose from.
Okay,
Are you asking me about the 2nd, or no, not anymore?
Yeah.
The 2nd.
At 3.
At 3 is fine.
December 2nd, 3 p.m.
All right.
And I will add it for you, Randy.
Any other topics? Have a motion to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned.